Okay, we are constructing the incenter, and then after that we're going to construct the radius for the inscribed circle and construct the inscribed circle. So, things you should think of when you read this. If the inscribed circle is mentioned, that goes with the incenter. You also need to keep in mind that incenters go with angle bisectors. Okay, so to get an angle bisector, this is an old construction. We go ahead, we set our compass to a decent distance. Pointer goes on the vertex, we reach out, we make an arc mark. Then I can leave my radius what it is. I move to one of the intersection points, I reach out and I make an arc mark. I move back to the other intersection point, I reach out and I make an arc mark. So notice by using the same radius to make this X, what I've done is I've created a point that is equidistant from these 2 points, and therefore equidistant from the sides of the angle, and therefore the angle bisector. So then I take my pen, I line up my vertex with the intersection point I just created, and I do my best here to draw the angle bisector. Oops, we got a big smear from this pen, sorry about that. So, through the magic of video, what's going to happen next is I'm going to go ahead and stop the video, and it's going to jump, and you will then see the other angle bisectors drawn in. Okay, so I did the construction also on vertex R, and I created the second angle bisector. And again, if you do the third, there's a possibility, because of moving compasses, etc., you're going to end up with it not quite having a perfect intersection point. So 2 is sufficient to find this, and again, if we take a look, my angle bisectors look decent, they're not far off. So we're going to use this right here as our incenter. Okay, the second part of this is incenters are equidistant from sides of angle. And again, to get the distance from a point to a line, I need a perpendicular segment. So picture it if you will. So the way that we create a perpendicular from a point to a line is we do our old friend, the boat. So just to make life easier, I'm going to turn my triangle around, and I'm going to create the perpendicular from the incenter down here to side RG. So I take my compass, I set it so that it's reaching past the side, sorry about that, reaching past the side, and then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make an arc that intersects that side twice. Now, once that arc has been made, the points that are important to me are this intersection point and this intersection point. So I take my compass, I can leave it at the same radius, pointer goes on that intersection point, I reach out here, I make a mark, keeping the radius the same, I go to the other intersection point, I reach out and I make a mark. Now, to make this easier to see, I'm going to take the highlighter and I'm going to go ahead and highlight the marks that go with constructing the radius. Then, at that point, I take my straight edge, I line up the incenter with the intersection point I just created, and I go ahead and I draw in just the perpendicular segment. That is now the radius of our inscribed circle. And so now I'm going to take my compass, I'm going to set it to the length of this red segment, that is the radius, and we'll see how I did. Usually this is not a pretty one, we'll see. So I turn my compass, or turn my paper actually, and you can see that I missed by a little bit, probably because my radius is so small. And so we end up with our circle, as you can see, missed by a tiny bit here, outside by a tiny bit there, but the idea, as far as the construction marks go, everything's here. Okay, so that is how you construct an inscribed circle. Hopefully when you guys do it on the example at the bottom of the page, you'll have better luck than I did at the top of the page. Okay, so again, you may want to re-watch the video before you attempt constructing the incenter in this triangle, or pardon me, the inscribed circle in this triangle. Okay, that is it. We are moving on now. You should watch the video for 5-4 on medians and altitudes.